Hey everybody, this is Brian Hatch, founder of Automate Big, and I'm excited to be back here with you for another episode of our blog, Marketing Runs Deep. We're talking about something that is one of those things that everybody doesn't really realize. What makes a great business? Now, we serve infopreneurs, people that are selling online courses or training, and if that's something you do, then I think that we should be speaking in some way, shape, or form, but glad you're here with me now. But one of the things that happens, and what makes a successful business, especially what makes a successful info business, okay? When I've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens, I don't know if it's 100 clients at this point over the last 7 years, but many clients and many network professionals, people that I know in the space that help with online entrepreneurs. It's funny because what separates a successful info business from one that doesn't comes down to one critical thing. But I'll tell it to you by way of a conversation I had with an entrepreneur. He had been working on his business and he does some really cool things for his clients. I don't want to get in all the details about his business, but I think it's really cool. It's unique. It's something that not everybody's doing. I think it's really cool. So he's doing what he does, and I asked him, I said, hey, what would you have done differently knowing what you know now when you started, right? So if you knew what you know now, what would you do when you started? And he said, you know what? I would have had systems in place. I would have had something better so that when people come in, it just works like clockwork, like it should, and then produces the result that I'm after. He said a lot of his systems weren't set up prior to launching. So that is what makes a difference between a successful info business and an unsuccessful info business. Don't get me wrong, I really prescribe to the notion that is like the perfectionist lie. If you think it has to be perfect before you launch, you're never going to get it done. Nothing that's out there that you do is perfect. It isn't. Because there's always something that you can do better. There's always something you can do that would enhance that thing that you created, right? As an info space, your course, your training, there's always something you could have done a little bit better. Whether it's your lighting, whether it's the content, whether it's your marketing, there's always something you could do better, okay? So I'm not saying that it needs to be perfect in order to launch, but I'm saying you need to have systems in place, because this is what happens for a lot of infopreneurs. They figure out, they follow some guru that says, hey, follow this strategy, and they do it and they get some results. Like maybe you made 10 grand, maybe you made 50 grand, maybe you made something with your launch of your course or your training, and I think that's awesome. Like you should pat yourself on the back and be proud of the work that you've created. I think that's awesome. But what will keep you successful in the long term is systems. And that is what really the automation side of our business really sets up for people, is to have something in place that consistently produces a result. Now, this is the key. Every business wants to have a system that creates more income than what they put into it, right? So think of that. That is what a successful business does, is it finds a way to offer solution to people's problems in some way, shape, or form. And it creates a system that does that and then equals more revenue and more opportunity at the back end. So it's kind of like, you put $1,000 in and it equals $3,000 on the back end, right? After you do everything you do. I'm saying like that's after your costs and everything. Like if you create something and you feed it with like, hey, here's some ads and here's some traffic and here's some things that I'm doing to market my business, even that's your time. Your time is valuable. And so if you're marketing your business and you're hustling and you're putting in the sales efforts and you put in $1,000 worth of effort or actual money into your advertising, it needs to produce $3,000. I mean, I'm saying that's a baseline. I'm not saying that that's the only thing that could happen. But if you're putting in $1,000 and it's only making you $1,000, that's not really, I'm saying after your costs, right? If you put in $1,000 and it costs you whatever and then you end up with an extra $1,000, you're breaking even. You're not making any extra money. So it needs to produce more. That's what a business does. And so if your business isn't creating that, or if you've created a way that you can put in $1,000 and you make up $3,000, but it's not sustainable, that's a big deal. One of our clients right now is saying, look, I want staying power. I want something that I can create that I'm going to still be relevant in 10 years from now, and I'm going to still be making money in 10 years from now, and I'm going to still have a following and still have a livelihood, and things are going to still be going 10 years from now, 20 years from now. It's about staying power, and so that system makes a huge difference. Some of the systems we create are webinars. You do lead magnets. It's this whole way of getting people in, learning about what you do, and then offering them a product that you have created, and then you serve them. You actually create something, you change, transformation in people's lives. You do something that makes a difference in their life, and then that's the system you create. But a lot of infopreneurs kind of like get in and do something kind of messy, which is fine. I think it's fine to do something messy and go hard and take action. I'd rather have an action taker than someone that needs to be perfect. I would always rather that. But it's so messy that it doesn't produce a huge system. So it's like a clunkiness. You got in, I made $10,000. And then I didn't really like the way I made $10,000, so I'm going to do it a little different over here. And so you keep reinventing the wheel that you've created, and you never have a solid system that like you produce the same thing each time. Every business that is like a multi-million-dollar and billion-dollar business knows a very straightforward process. We do the X, Y, and Z actions to get people here. They take action, and then a portion of those people buy, and a portion of those people that buy end up doing this with us, and then it's a whole system in place to make sure you're making money. So this is maybe a little abstract, but it is something that I want you to think about in your business is like, what system do I have? Can I do something that's repetitive? Sometimes people, business owners especially in the info space, they're like, I get so bored doing the same thing over and over and over. Well, that's what business is. If you haven't created a way to do something over and over and over and make the same amount of money, if not more amount of money, time and time again, then you don't really have a business that's scalable. You might have a fun business that produces some, you do some things and then you create some results and make some money, but it's not something that's going to scale to millions of dollars of revenue. So I hope that this is something that you'll think about in your business, that you will create a system. Now, there are little mini systems within a system, right, that make it work, but it's ultimately about pushing traffic to a place where they take action, then they buy, then you take care of them in such a way that they still want to work with you in the future or refer business to you. And there's partnership programs and all kinds of fun stuff you can do in your system. And that's what businesses do. But it is about getting a repeatable system in place before you build 25 systems on top of that, right? You might have a whole cog, but maybe you need to get the baseline 2 or 3 systems really ironed out so that you're just rocking it. And when you do that, you'll make it big. And that is just one small way to automate big.